How does someone fail at psychedelics?
That's a great question. I would say the first thing that I would probably say is that Phil failed at psychedelics by doing them at such a young age.
Not me personally.
Phil for you.
I definitely did fail at psychedelics by doing them at a way too young age. I was walking around in cow fields picking mushrooms when I was probably 14, 15.
Okay, I misunderstood the assignment.
It's really how does anybody? How
does one?
But I think you've answered a good one. Is doing them too early.
Yeah, doing them too early.
You need to be at a certain maturation level, a certain age, a certain experience level.
Yeah, and I'd say like some of the psychedelic pioneers. I can't remember which one, but it might have even been. It might have been Aldous Huxley that first coined the term set and setting.
Yeah.
Was it Huxley? Do you remember? Do you know?
I don't know. Was it Terrence McKenna?
It was one of those early guys. And like now it's like codified. Like that's part of like how they train people in psychedelics is like, what is your mindset going in? Making sure you kind of know what you're getting into. You're in a good mental space. You have the bandwidth for it. Your nervous system isn't like blown out and you're in a like a
overwhelmed state or fatigued.
Yeah, or even like you're in a emergency or like you're having a crisis. Like that would not be the time to use it.
Right.
At least I wouldn't recommend it like that. And then the other is setting. So like, are you in a safe place? Are people going to interrupt you? Can law enforcement come and get you? Are you going to be disturbing the public? Like maybe doing it in public isn't the best idea. And then part of set and setting, I would consider like having a well-experienced facilitator.
Right.
And in different cultures, this looks very different. In modern Western culture, that looks like typically having a therapist. Now we're seeing like an emergence of psychedelic-assisted therapy. And I would say like that's a pretty safe way to do it because you're going to get the right drug and the right dosage, and you're going to have medical professionals around you and people who have been doing it so they kind of know how to guide or not guide or just like, hold a safe place for you to explore your mind and body.
So we can reverse engineer that and say that to fail at psychedelics, you could do it when you're in crisis, or do it when you don't have the proper mindset, or in a setting that's overly chaotic or confusing, or you're going to impact or see other people and could potentially get into trouble, or get hurt.
Yeah. And I think I learned a lot of that reading, but I think I learned it more deeply firsthand, like doing psychedelics in context that I should not have been, and then facing the consequences.
Like what?
Like for example, in probably like 2015 or 16, I took what I thought was like 200 micrograms of LSD. So like 2 hits of LSD, and it was the strongest LSD I'd ever taken. I don't know if it was that dose, but I was at a music festival and I ended up being detained by the security of the festival and fighting them for my dear life because I was so delusional that I thought they were trying to kill me and stop me. And so I ended up going to the hospital high as a kite on LSD. And I don't blame it on the LSD to this day. Like I've done LSD since then and it's been phenomenal, but I won't do LSD like that in such a setting. Like I've done it since then at festivals, and I won't take like more than half of a hit, and it has to be LSD that I've done before, so I know what I'm getting myself into. But yeah, that's one example of what could go wrong. I like woke up the next day and my wrists were swollen from trying to pull my hands out of the handcuffs. And like,
because you didn't have an awareness.
Well, I got to the point where I knew I could pull them out, but I'd break my wrist or my thumb. And that wrist, my left wrist, was messed up. And I remember seeing my father the next day, and he looks at me, he's like, "Damn, son, you really got fucked up last night, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah, Dad, you have no idea." And then like a couple years later, I told him like, "Hey, don't tell Mom, but that time that you saw me and I looked all beat up, it's because I was beat up and I ended up going to the hospital." And I found out after my dad's death, I said something about it to my mom, and she was like, "That motherfucker kept it secret from me. He did not tell her that I had that experience." And so it was relieving to know that he took that one to the grave with him.
That your pact with your dad was sacred to him.
Yeah, and he did not share. He knew that it would upset her and betray some trust. You know? And he trusted me, and I ended up okay. And I learned from it. I won't do that again, and I will discourage friends from doing drugs at festivals unless like they really know what they're doing, which I don't think a lot of people do. So.
Right. So that's a good example of failing to consider set and setting.
Yeah. Yeah. And dosage. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of those failures are like, what are you taking? Do you have an awareness of it? Do you have folks around you that you trust and that you have a good relationship with? Are you in a good environment? Putting any of one of those out of balance could really produce some failures at psychedelics.
And to give some maybe some more credibility to the why you shouldn't do them at a young age topic, I think I want to mention that when I was researching for my thesis, I had to understand, I had to make an argument about cannabis and what's the modern context and what is the modern research saying. And luckily, because it's more more mainstream, there's a lot more research out about it. And I read a study that said, and I might get these a little wrong, but I promise I'm not exaggerating. If you smoke cannabis chronically, which they define as I think more than 2 or 3 times per week, that's chronically smoking. And if I'm smoking weed, I'm smoking it multiple times a day. It's not just 2 or 3 times a week kind of thing.
That's how I did it.
So if you're apparently for men under the age of 25, if you're smoking chronically, it increases your risk of psychosis, late state or later in life psychosis, an emergence of some kind of psychosis by 90%.
No way.
And so it's and it's more detrimental to men for whatever reason. It could just be the way the study was, or it just could be men's psychology. But for whatever reason, it really is dangerous for men under 25 to smoke chronically. And that's when I smoke the most weed. And so there is a little bit of paranoia, by the time I'm 40 and stuff, and will I develop some form of psychosis? Typically it's depression or severe depression or schizophrenia is a very common one. Yeah.
Well, I'm 46. I can report that all's good up until till now. But I've smoked it at that frequency, even in my older age.
Yeah.
But so the study says up until 25, you can have these really extreme later life consequences.
Yeah. And I imagine I don't think they know the mechanism of action quite yet, but I imagine that it has something to do with men's prefrontal cortex doesn't stop developing till then. And for women, I think typically it matures earlier. And I think we can see that in society. It's pretty clear. Men typically that the critical thinking doesn't really start kicking in until
46.
Yeah, no, really 25, and then you start developing it over time. And so I think that it has something to do with the really early development. And I feel like that's the center that it activates the most when you're under the influence of psychedelics is that prefrontal cortex, the reasoning and logic kind of section of your brain.